I'm 26. I'm currently unemployed. I've been employed, a handful of times, but I'm also in Japan. I'm from the America. I've been here for about a month now. I haven't moved here or anything. And I just want to share some lessons I've learned in my 20s because this decade so far, the 6 years that I've lived in my 20s, has been the most hectic 6 years of my life, perhaps. And let me explain why. So, if you are Gen Z, you know we grew up with the internet. We grew up with YouTubers, we grew up with Minecraft, we grew up with Roblox, we grew up with Nigahiga, we grew up with, YouTube and all of this fun stuff. The internet's crazy, video games. And the older generation was not ready for that at all. Like a lot of the older generation is technology illiterate. And we are the ones that faced the new novelty of technology, but also the repercussions and negative effects of technology. And I say this because growing up, I was exposed to the possibilities of the internet, of what is possible out in this human race. And back in the tribal ancient times, we would personally know like 100 people max in our lives. When we couldn't travel the world or see people from other parts of the world, we would only know like 100 people. And the if you think about it, the best person or like the greatest person, the strongest person, or the most like flourishing person in that 100 people is probably like, a cool dude. They're probably pretty chill. But now we're exposed to like millions of people who are like peaks of their tribes, they're peaks of their times, and it is so unhealthy for an individual where we personally compare ourselves to these amazing great people, and now we think that we are less. We think that average, the bar is so high for average, but in reality, being average, like the bar is so low for being average. To be greater than average, you literally have to do nothing, especially nowadays, because literally nothing, because people are doom scrolling, and if you literally don't doom scroll, you will be a tear up. But anyways, the reason I mention this is because growing up with all of this possibility and seeing that the older generation, the previous generation, is suggesting a very niche specific traditional path is demoralizing. It is crushing to be like, yeah, even though you're growing up seeing people play video games for a living, and you're growing up seeing people create videos for a living, you're growing up seeing people, do fun things for a living, you should do this more traditional path. It's more secure, it's better for your retirement, it's safer, and it's boring. Like, why would I do the same thing when I see the possibilities of everything else? And that is a very crushing experience. Growing up, going through college, graduating, working an office job, just being crushed for 14 months. And then after I was 24, I quit my job. I worked it for 14 months and I spent the next 2 years working on this YouTube channel. And how little did I realize that it was way harder to start a YouTube channel than I thought. And me personally, it feels like I had way more mental stuff to unpack than I realized that was holding me back from making videos. And the past 2 years, I mean, at times it feels like I've just failed over and over making YouTube videos and being like, yeah, family, this is my dream. This is my dream, but I'm not confident in it because I feel like I need to make money fast, or I feel like I need things to be done quickly, or I need to make videos a certain way for certain people. And it's ended up being this cycle of trying to satisfy a traditional life path in a modern way. I've been trying to make YouTube my 9 to 5 at least the last 2 years, but nowadays I've just switched entirely from what I have been approaching YouTube, from how I've been approaching it. And so, in those 2 years of being unemployed, living with my parents, living off of my savings from my office job, and just trying to make videos, it has been a process of awakening, of realizing, of being aware of like, wow, I see why the older generation tells you to go this traditional path. I'm seeing more of the world. I've been meeting people. I've met somebody from Ukraine who is in the United States because they are a refugee from the war, and they are, you know, they're going through struggles. I've met people who work a shit ton of hours and doing school upon working and making no money, and they literally have like no money to their name. They're just surviving. And it's been expanding my worldview, and I'm like, wow. And I still see people online who are doing things that I know I can do, and it's frustrating. I'm like, why am I getting these mixed signals of people telling me I should be doing these traditional paths, but I'm seeing the possibilities still. And so becoming aware and seeing the absurdity of like a lot of just life is scary. It's like, wow, what does this all mean? And sometimes I wish I could go back. I wish I could just be like, yeah, I just want to play games and not think about these things and not be aware of these things and see like, I don't know, just see all the bad in the world and the good in the world. It's like debilitating. And so a big thing I learned in my 20s is that it kind of sucks. But at the same time, I do feel this feeling of like getting over the hump, and then it's a false summit, and I'm like, okay, there's more to climb. But it's like I'm gonna just keep climbing, because what else is there to do? Giving up is not in my heart. Like, if you truly dig into your own heart, giving up isn't there. But it's like, at the same time, your 20s is literally the hardest transition. You're going from being in the most structured environment and either into more structure but kind of confused because there are people on the internet who are doing something completely different than this traditional path. Or you grow up in the structured path and then you take the jump into freedom and you realize, wow, I understand why there's a structured path and why people just give up on their dreams, because they're like, oh, well, you know what? It's way scarier having no guard railings, having no direction to guide you, than it is to be in that freedom. And so there's trade offs. And the thing is, I think once you taste that freedom, you can't go back. You find some way to make it work. And right now, to those who are confused and figuring it out, like, you're not alone. It is confusing. And at the same time, though, I think we're fine. We'll be okay. Genuinely, we gotta just stop like a lot of things, like scrolling, like over scrolling. We gotta stop, gooning. We gotta stop isolating. We gotta, I get why people isolate, because in certain situations we get triggered and we don't want to be near people anymore. But guess what? Like, those people are making us grow. The people that trigger us the most are low-key making us grow. Because it's like, why are you getting triggered by them in the first place? Why do you have buttons to be pressed when they are freely pressing your buttons, but why do you even have those buttons in the first place? And so, if you're in your 20s, you're feeling lost, you're feeling like you don't know, that's what the 20s are for. We'll figure it out. We'll get through it. We will find our way and keep going. Because genuinely, that's all we can do. We just keep on walking, like Denzel Curry says. keep on walking. And so, thank y'all for being here. I never thought I would actually make YouTube videos and stick with it for as long as I have been doing. I used to be somebody who would give up when things get hard. I used to be somebody who would just quit, who would say like, these things aren't good enough, or there's no value in these videos, or whatever. And so I appreciate everyone who has supported me this far, and all my future supporters, and anyone who criticizes me, you know, watch my money pile up, actually. Anyways, see y'all. Gianni, bye bye.